Welcome to the Clemson Insider as we come to you again with another part of our video series with Clemson legends, if you will, and as we continue to talk about Clemson in the past, the future, and try to just get fans excited for Clemson athletics. Today, as you can see, this guy to the left of me is former Clemson baseball coach Jack Leggett. Coach, first of all, thanks for being here today. We appreciate your time, and we're going to kind of go all over the scope here of your 22 years at Clemson as the head coach. 23 overall, because you worked with Coach Wilhelm also for 1 year. So I want to kind of talk about that and kind of begin with the transition of Coach Wilhelm, who was obviously a legend here in his own right and what he did for Clemson baseball. And you got to be the guy that followed behind him. What was that like for you?
Well, it was a great experience. I got a call from Coach Wilhelm 2 or 3 different times when he had job opportunities when I was coaching at Western Carolina. And this last time, I was in Cape Cod, and he called me up and he told me he wanted me to come down. I came down and interviewed for the job, and I was a little skeptical, to be honest with you, at the beginning, because I'd always been a head coach. But he told me it was going to take a couple more years for him to retire, and that if I did a good job, things might work out real well. And I got some assurances from Bobby Robinson and Dwight Rainey that if I did a good job, I'd be considered. That there were no guarantees, and so I came down, interviewed, and one of the things he told me was, he says, "Jack, I always liked you. We always played their teams, and come down to Clemson, and instead of playing for $500, which was the guarantee he offered me, I'd say, Coach, the $500 won't do me any good. I'll need, how about if you give me 10 dozen baseballs instead?" So his managers would always meet us, and give us 10 dozen baseballs, put them in our van, get waxed, get on the bus, and go back home. The other thing he always mentioned to me is, Jack, every time I called you to reschedule a game, you always called me back. So I've always remembered that. So I took the job and as an assistant coach for the 2 years that I was here, and did all the recruiting and a lot of practice plans, a lot of working with the daily practice schedule with him, and was able to recruit some really good kids that would transition into me being the head coach in a couple of years, and Chris Benson's and Shane Monahan's and Billy Koch's and those type of guys. So it was a really good experience for me, an eye-opening experience about the recruiting at this level, and we happened to hit it just right. And so when I was able to become the head coach, we went to Omaha first 2 out of the first 3 years.
Yeah, and speaking of that 94 team, your first team, You I believe, won the ACC championship, and you went to the super regional round, or what would have been the super regional technically. That was done different back then. But you got that far, and just missed it. And then that 95 team, you came back and you got rolling, and that's when it all started for you. Can you talk about that team, those teams, and then all 6 of your World Series teams, and how special each one was for you?
Well, the first year we were here, that was a really special team because I think we won 57 ball games. We went to Hawaii, went to Las Vegas, so we played some extra games. And I don't think we lost 2 games in a row the whole year, except in Hawaii that Monday and Tuesday when the trip caught up to them. But kids played very consistently, and we had some good players, of course. And it developed into the next year. We came really close. We developed into the next year where we played extremely well in the ACC, and then we played really well during the regionals, and got ourselves to Omaha, and went out in Omaha and played well again, and that tied into our 1996 season where we had another opportunity where we played well in the regional, won the regional, and we went to Omaha and won a couple ball games out there and played well. And we had Chris Benson, Billy Koch, Ken Vining was our weekend rotation, which is pretty good.
Yeah,
and
those guys are
Matthew LaCroix came in as our catcher at that time, and Shane Monahan, David Miller, Jeff Save, Scott Winchester, those type of guys were leaving after the 95 season. And so it was a smooth transition. I think the players, were looking for some good leadership as well as what they had learned from Coach Wilhelm. So I think it was a good mix, and the transition was a really good thing. I think Bobby Robinson had a great vision, and Dwight had a great vision about bringing someone in who had similar philosophy and ideas to Coach Wilhelm, and we just transitioned pretty easily. And in 1997, we lost 9 kids in the draft off our recruiting class, And so that was difficult, but we still made the regionals, 97, 98, 99. And then got back to Omaha in 2000 and had some good players, and Jeff Baker and Khalil Green, Michael Johnson, David Slevin. I mean, it goes over and over. We had and Steve Reba, Ryan Model, those kind of guys. We had some Justin Singleton, Patrick Boyd. We had some good players. Mm-hmm. And we made it back in 2002 as well, and then 2006 and 2010. So we had a pretty good run there, and we were always in the hunt. But each one of those teams was very special, and each one of those teams really played well during the course of the year and played well during the postseason.
Yeah, I know the 2006 team was the number one team in the country, and as you mentioned, all those great players ahead. And then you had the 2010 team, which was a team that probably of the six was not your collection of best players to go, but they were the most guttiest team, I think is what you described them as, because they always seemed to rally and come back, and they just put themselves in position to win, and they ended up getting themselves to Omaha and getting in the semifinals. Yeah,
we had some really talented teams. Each one of them was very talented, but that team was especially gritty. And in 2000, we had to battle like heck to get ourselves into Omaha. And in 2001, we also won a regional, I think, in Arkansas, and then lost in the super regional in College Station down in Texas A&M, which is a tough loss because we got to the final game there and could have gone to Omaha 3 years in a row.
Right.
And but each team has always shown some resiliency during the year. Anytime you had adversity, we bounced back. And we had great team chemistry. Kids are very loyal now. They keep in touch. They learn great lessons along the way. They talk about them. They, call you on the phone and laugh about the things that they, that they went through or that I put them through, I guess. And and they laugh about it, and they think these are great lessons that they've passed on to their families now. They've got kids, or if they're off coaching, they're doing the same thing. So it was a great group of kids along the way, and I've always had a great relationship with them, and they've all been very loyal.
So what are your favorite memories? It could be a World Series team, it could be a team that didn't make the World Series. What are your favorite memories from Clemson?
The people, the relationships with the players that I had, the coaches that I had some really good coaches. Tim Corbin came through, and John Pulowski, they're all head coaches now. Kevin O'Sullivan, Tom Reginas. We've had some really good coaches. Dan Pepicelli, has been good. Bradley was with me for a long time as well. We've had some good coaches come through, and I've been very fortunate to be involved with them and make some good decisions that way, and the players. So I think that's the thing that rings home with me is the relationship with the players and the memories and the laughter afterwards and the exaggerated stories. That's what's in it for me. But there's some great memories. The 15-4 comeback from behind against NC State, down at NC State, when Shane Monahan let it off with a base hit bunt first, and between the pitcher and first baseman, and their whole dugout's yelling, "That's how to pad your stats, Monahan. Yeah, that's it. You're an All-American. That's good. Just get another base hit. That's all that counts." And then he comes up later in the inning and he hits a 3-run homer, and that makes it 15-15 or close, and we tie it up. Score 11 runs in the ninth inning, and he takes a big, wide turnaround first base and let him know that I'm back. I'm still here. The same inning. So that was a great memory. It's one of those things that it makes you believe that you're never out of any game, and it's a great lesson for your team to learn. Then I think of the times that we went to Omaha and played out in Omaha, and you see Chris Benson, the National Player of the Year, out on the mound, and that's exciting. And we played some good ball games there. I like the memory of Tyler Colvin's home run against Oral Roberts in the first game of the Super Regional, and that was in 2006.
Yep.
And I could see it out of the hand of the pitcher. I said, "Just don't hit into double play. It's the only thing that can kill us right now. We got the bases loaded. We're down 1. We just need a sacrifice fly, tie it up. We'll come back and win it, or a base hit and we'll win it." But as soon as I saw the breaking ball of his hand, I go, "Yes," because I saw it hanging, and he took that thing up on top of the batting cages and for a grand slam home run, and that's probably one of the greatest memories that I can that I focus on all the time. but there was a lot of really good big hits. Brian Ellis hitting the ball up the middle, Kurt Boltman on second base against South Carolina at home, and the ball didn't sneak through. The second baseman dove, knocked it down. It was trickling in the outfield. We sent Kurt Boltman around third. I was always taught to keep on rolling unless even on an infield ground ball with 2 outs. And Brian Roberts picked it up in the outfield, threw it to the plate. He's safe. Place goes crazy. He's climbing up the wall, climbing up the netting, and so I remember the really good times. We really had some great memories. We had a lot of really good times where these kids deserved to go to Omaha and playing. We played 9 super regionals, which it was just tough to do, and played 6 World Series. And you have to play consistently. You have to play tough. You have to have good team chemistry. And you got to make a lot of plays, make a lot of pitches, and a lot of big hits along the way. So there's a lot of really good memories that way.
I remember the 2006 season in the ACC championship game. The night before, you played Georgia Tech in the first game, and if you guys win it, you win the championship there. But they end up coming back winning in extra innings. I think we got done around 2 o'clock in the morning, if I'm not mistaken. And you had to turn around and play at noon the next day, and you had to find a pitcher. And I believe it was Sean Clark, am I right? And he comes out of nowhere. You just barely put him on your postseason roster team. Can you tell about that story? And just that's the kind of guys you would get in the postseason that would make those kind of plays?
Well, you have to have players step up. If you're going to win in the postseason, kids have to step up. And you're going to have to find somebody who maybe hasn't had a great year or has been waiting to have an opportunity. And in that case, we're down in Jacksonville, and we lost a tough one the night before. We're going to come back, and we're going to play NC State for the championship. And we're, getting close to being out of pitching. And I can remember Sully and I sitting there talking and go, well, who are we going to pitch today? This is before we get on the bus. Let's give Sean Clark a shot. Let's see what he can do. Well, he went out there and threw 8 1/3, I think, and threw his breaking ball for strikes. He was ahead in the count the whole time. PJ Zachi, I think, came in and finished it off. And that was a great moment, because nobody had heard of Sean Clark at that time. And then we now are in the regional the next weekend at home, and they're introducing everybody. And now they introduce Sean Clark, and he gets the biggest round of applause from everybody. And I'm thinking, this is what college athletics is all about. Then we go to Super Regional, same thing. We go to Omaha, same thing. So it became a huge part of our team and a success for our team late in the year, because he was patient and has worked his way through it, and Sully coached him up well along the way, and he was prepared when he had his opportunity. So that was a great moment too, and something I'll never forget is, and a great lesson for every team that I've ever coached, is that you got to keep your head in the game, you got to keep on working, and you got to find a way to contribute when you're called upon, and that was a great example of it.
We got a lot of examples like that as we continue on this journey with former Clemson baseball coach Jack Leggett. We'll have more from the Clemson Insider here in the days to come as we do our 4-part series with Coach Leggett. Stay tuned.